could look really cool. So having lots of statues of mobs around there, I think would look really nice. And then of course, once we push further in, we have an abundance of land for our imagination to take wild and do what we want with this area. Yeah, I have a lot of cats, by the way. Yeah, I got a lot of cats. So that's kind of where we left off. Unfortunately, I fell into two bad frames, and one of those is a bad framing of like mind in terms of procrastination, overthinking, and then the second was just I'm in like a bad state of health, and that's kind of an unfortunate thing that's going on right now. Is like if you were to look at baseline, so if we look at like my baseline is here and exclude surgeries, sicknesses, infections, things like that, just my baseline health, so baseline, I'm probably like here. It's not super fantastic lately, so that's been a struggle. So for instance, like what I call kind of like a muscle crash, so like my body just decides to just like shut down on me. That's been pretty bad lately. Like it took like 3 days of being in bed before the last wildlife recording just to have the energy to get through that session, and then I was in bed for like another 3 days trying to get over that. Luckily, in the last like day or so, I've started to feel better, and I kind of like really pushed myself to get up today and like do the stream and stuff like that. But it's frustrating. So like health wise, unfortunately, I'm just into like a really bad spiral right now of like not just getting over this, and it's super frustrating. It just feels like every time you take like one step forward, you take 5 full steps backwards. And it's demoralizing because when you have ideas, like you're excited to like work on your ideas, but then your body just is got other plans for you, and it is beyond frustrating. And working through it. Got the sunspots on the face here. But then the biggest thing I think that's holding me back right now is just overthinking. I just got in this weird spot right now, and I'm sure people can relate to this. So for overthinking, like I've just gotten to like an unhealthy state of overthinking. And I do think that this can occur, especially with like YouTubers, as you kind of like move on, like as you move into like when you first start, it's just whatever comes to your mind, right? It's just whatever pops in your mind you do. And as you, gain audiences, part of this and that, like you can start like getting into a trap of overthinking. That plays a component because you're thinking like, what would people like? Would they like this? Does this fit in with this? Do the people around me want this or that? And you can just get into this like headspace that just like spirals. And sometimes you, like me, when this has happened before, is like you got to like step back a little bit and just have like confidence in your idea, and that people will, that not everybody's always going to love what you're going to do. So you just have to do the best you can. There's zero way of ever pleasing everybody, but you still get into that mindset of like, oh, I want to please this, I want to please that, I got to do this, and I got to do that. And you just start like spinning, right? It's just like, and that's just what's been happening lately. Like I overthink everything to like the highest degree. I think some of my artists, like for like the merchandise, have probably been victim to this, of me being like overthinking, like okay, I'm seeing okay, maybe we do, just kind of like, and it's like I got to work on just being more decisive and getting it done. It's frustrating, but yeah, overthinking and just spiraling on those thoughts has just been weird lately. Your content is amazing, sir. We support you. Well, I appreciate that. Just want to grab a little bit more of this grass. For instance, when it comes to the zoo in particular, like I got really hung up on the name of the zoo. I got hung up on like the layout, because I started designing it actually. And this plays a huge part into like why I never get anything done, is like I started designing the entrance, and then it started giving off like a little bit of a vibe, just a little bit of a vibe of the Scarland entrance. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to get a bunch of comments saying it's the same as the Scarland entrance. And then I like scrapped it. And I'm like, actually, then I look back later, I'm like, didn't really look like the entrance to Scarland. And now I scrapped like what was probably like a pretty cool entrance. So you could see that kind of like that overthinking of like getting something going and then kind of like torpedoing it. And it's like, that's been the biggest frustration. So it's like a combination of just really poor health and there's like overthinking. And I often think that a lot of times those two things can like come together, right? They can like, you're not feeling well, and so like that can also play a part in just not being able to get that done. And then just general like lack of creativity has been a problem. That's kind of where the Hermitcraft videos have been. That's why a lot of people have been asking. And then health wise, like when I do get a wildlife episode done, that's like a whole day of recording. So then I'm kind of like my energy, and then you got to edit, which could take up to 2 days. And it's just like, then we started the Impossible series. I think that was like the nail. That was the nail in my coffin that day when I finished that. I was like, I have used up every ounce of my energy. Like it is just gone. Yes, that's a great point, is that when you're stressed, it basically kills your creativity process. I 100% believe that, because I think about it like when I was a swimmer and I was either stressed or sick, like I could usually muscle through anything, but you cannot, in my opinion, at least, and people may have different ways, everybody's brains are different and know different ways of overcoming things, but in my opinion, there is no way to muscle through creativity. It's either there or it's not, and it is a wispy wisp of smoke that floats around and gives you ideas and then wisps its way away. That's my experience with creativity, is that when it comes and it's like, let's go, we've got productive ideas here, we got this, we got that, it's amazing. And then, you know, other times it's a little like not 100% there. So you have to really be careful, like I think for creative people, right, is to make sure that you're always nurturing your mind in a way that keeps those creative like ideas and energy flowing in your brain. Like if you're not taking care of yourself, you're not taking care of your mind, then that creative energy is just not going to be there for you. And that's my experience, especially like, you know, what I do. Like I have to make sure that creative muscle is absolutely perfectly firing on all cylinders, because, you know, when we make videos, it's pretty quick, right? Like it's make a video and then you start working on the next one, and that goes out and you make your next one. So you just have to constantly be like going. So taking care of yourself and making sure you're good, that you continue that output, is difficult. It is difficult. Yes, you have to landscape your mind. You do have to landscape your mind. But for artists out there, I think you can relate. Like you can't muscle through that creativity very well. Like it's either there or it's not. It is either there or not.